Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and now we'll begin with our interview with our esteemed guest, Mr. Jassim Qabazard, engineering consultant, businessman. First of all, Mr. Qabazard, thank you for joining us here today.
It's my pleasure, and thank you very much for your invitation.
Of course, sir. Let's begin with our first question. From a social system perspective, how do regional tensions influence public behaviors and societal stability within Kuwait and the GCC?
There's a direct relationship between the regional environment and its effect on the public, mainly because the public, people, I'm talking about the Gulf State Corporation, these 6 countries have many things in common. Particularly the relationship with the leadership has always been a very smooth, without so much protocol.
A steadfast relationship.
Exactly, and they feel each other.
Correct.
Because they've grown together. At the time of difficulties in Kuwait before, and the Gulf, before the oil era, they were merchants of the sea. They had similar lifestyle, they had similar problems, similar good times and bad times. So it's a shared feeling between the leadership and between his people.
Would you say that they understand each other on a formal and informal level almost?
Exactly. Okay. It's the informal level which I'm emphasizing on. Yes. Because this is the thing which keeps the relationship sustained. It keeps it going. No matter what happens to the company, to the countries, we feel that we are close to our leadership, and this vice versa. And there's a common language of each trying to calm down and reassure of the strong relationship. So anything that happens regionally is pretty much tied and affects the people. We are all sharing the plight of the region. I can't just single out Kuwait. We are all in the same front right now fighting, each one taking his share of, unfortunately, of aggression and unjustified aggression. However, to go simply as an answer to your question, I believe that the people of the region are very much behind their leadership, and they listen to their directors, to the directives which are given to them, and this maintains a sustained, a strong, let's say, coherent between the leadership and the people. So they feel each other's pain and happiness.
Would you say that this relationship between the leadership, the authority, and the people of the states, this is unique to our region?
Absolutely, yes. That's what keeps our region unified. At times of distress, times of war, we all come together. And this is exactly what's happening. And there's no need to have a exercise or training to do this. It comes intrinsically. It comes by nature.
Reaction.
Yes, it comes by nature. And thank God, alhamdulillah, this is God's gift to us, and we should cherish and strengthen and continue this friendly and solidarity relationship.
Now, Mr. Qabazard, as an engineer, how important is infrastructure resilience, such as, let's say, power, water, electricity infrastructure, during these periods of political tension? How important do you see that?
It has always been, let's say, the weak point of our region. We all sit quiet and don't like to come to the time where these resources are at jeopardy, because we know it is going to be catastrophic.
Correct.
Honestly, it will be catastrophic. We all know we are spenders. Our region generally are spenders. We are enjoying God's gift on us in terms of money, good relationship with the world, easy contact with everybody, and this gives us the feeling that hopefully that life should continue as it is like this, and don't think really of the nightmare scenario.
A worst case scenario.
A worst case scenario. Today, we are facing the reality, and there are samples of destruction happening to our neighboring countries such as Bahrain and the Emirates, and particularly Bahrain, where the desalination plant was attacked by Iranian aggression. And of course, it was, Iran says it was a retaliation for its own water desalination at Kharg Island being also demolished. And it seems unfortunate that Iran keeps saying that whatever you do, we will reciprocate.
Sort of a tit-for-tat strategy.
Tit-for-tat. That means if you started, that's the point. In terms of international logic and understanding and law, the aggressor is responsible for generating a retaliation.
Correct.
So, as an example, now they are attacking Kharg Island. And Kharg Island is like a vein of...
It's the most important vein
of,
for the Iranian oil industry.
For the oil industry, for the lifeline of Iran. And that triggers in Iran a revenge. Correct. It's obvious. So who's going to get the problem? Who's going to be hit? We are. Their missiles is not going to go to the United States. It's done enough damage in Israel. So what's left is us.
It's to pressure the Gulf states.
Exactly.
To reassess relations.
So we are afraid that this is a tactic which the United States is using against us. Mm-hmm. Whether they mean it or it's accidental, which I doubt, is to drag us into the war and to increase the separation between these two nations, the Iranian nation and the Gulf nations, and increase the enmity between them and the grudge and search for revenge. So it is agitating the peace life that we're enjoying and making it like a rivalry between these two nations. And this is the danger of it, because in the long run, what are we going to do? All this needs to be someday when all this suppresses.
Relations will have
have to be strengthened again, because we are neighbors and we are Muslim countries. Mm-hmm. Mind you, they have different political agendas, no doubt, each one does. But that doesn't mean that we can be living in peace with each other as we have been so far.
Now, just one follow-up question about Kharg Island in particular. Yes. There are reports that the USS Tripoli is being sent over to the region, and there are growing reports that there will be ground troops involved. Yeah. Do you fear that there will be a response from Iran in terms of, if the US is able to capture Kharg Island, would Iran just destroy the facilities, or will they want to keep it in the hope that they could reclaim it again?
I've been listening to the news for the past, from the very beginning, even before that. And I listened to a spectrum of news analysts. I don't go to the normal TV stations. I prefer to see the analysts. I have British, American analysts, and Arab-speaking analysts. And among the 7 or 8 of them, I keep jumping from one canal to the other, and I sort of come up with a consensus of what are common information among them, so that I could generate my own perspective about this.
Find the closest thing to the
closest, truth. Which seems to be a common fact, or let's say common set of information available for both sides, Iran and the US and Israel. The problem, in order to get to Kharg, you have to pass through Hormuz. Hormuz is closed.
Correct.
So that's the first fight they have to go through, naturally. Mm-hmm. And it seems that it doesn't make sense. Either you have to fly over,
which is incredibly risky,
which is going to be costly, risky, and I believe they are going to be vulnerable, because it is not going to happen at night or during the day without Iran knowing what's going on. Plus, I'm sure China and Russia are supporting the skies electronic maneuvers which is going on, and feeding that information to Iran.
Correct.
Otherwise, I don't think Iran would be able to target going supersonic without having some space
extra information, let's say.
Knowledge helping and guiding and whatever, but they stay in the dark so that they don't get involved publicly.
They're not directly in the
exactly. They don't want to be public. Okay, each side does its best to support its goal, its people, its interests. So therefore, I find it very, very difficult to accept that that option is a viable option, no matter what they say. No matter what they say.
Mr. Qabazard, could you just hold on to that point, because we have to just continue a bit more with the latest local news.
Of course.
And we'll return to our interview, sir.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kuwait Red Crescent Society held its third emergency board meeting, during which the number of volunteers joining the emergency teams was raised up to 381 as part of the approved preparedness plans to respond to current developments and to enhance field readiness. The Society's board chairman, Khalid al-Mughamis, who chaired the meeting, said that the meeting comes within the frameworks of continuous monitoring of the developments and evaluating the operational and logistical readiness of emergency teams and volunteers, in addition to reviewing the latest updates related to the Society's approved emergency plans. Al-Mughamis added that the board followed up on the implementation of measures taken in the previous two meetings and reviewed reports from the Operations and Emergency Committee concerning field readiness and updates to movement plans to enhance response speed and operational efficiency when needed. The meeting also evaluated the level of coordination with the relevant government agencies, reviewed logistical aspects, and verified the availability of relief materials and essential supplies within the Society's strategic stock, while continuing the activation of the Emergency Operations Room to monitor developments around the clock. Volunteers were distributed into field work groups according to the approved preparedness plans, ensuring rapid response when needed, and are undergoing continuous training and qualification programs, including first aid courses and emergency response protocols. The Society's Mental Health and Social Care Office, in cooperation with the Kuwait Association for Crisis and Emergency Management, organized an online workshop titled Psychological First Aid via Video Communications, presented by Dr. Fawzi Al-Khawari, President of the Crisis Management Association. The workshop addressed the impact of current events on the mental health of adults and children during crises and emergencies, emphasizing the recognition of psychological effects and disorders that may arise, as well as training on providing initial psychological support and managing panic and different psychological reactions. So far, a total of 218 participants from Kuwait and abroad attended the workshop, which also included sign language interpretation to support hearing-impaired individuals, ensuring full access to its content. Al-Mughamis noted that as a member of the Higher Committee for Civil Defense, the Kuwait Red Crescent Society continues direct coordination with the official authorities within Kuwait's crisis management system, contributing to national efforts and enhancing preparedness for various emergency situations. He reaffirmed the Society's commitment to continue its national and humanitarian role alongside state institutions by strengthening operational and logistical readiness, as well as activating volunteer capacities to support Kuwait's crisis management system and to preserve community safety.
تؤكد جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي جاهزيتها للاستجابة للطوارئ والكوارث في ظل الأوضاع الجيوسياسية الحاصلة في المنطقة. جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي تعمل من ضمن منظومة إنسانية متكاملة مع مؤسسات دولة الكويت من حيث الاستجابة السريعة وتجهيز المتطوعين من ضمن أفرقة مختلفة للاستجابة للطوارئ في سرعة قصوى. يعد متطوعين جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي من المتطوعين اللي تم تدريبهم مكثفاً في الإسعافات الأولية والاستجابة للكوارث والاستجابة الميدانية. تؤكد جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي جاهزيتها الميدانية ورفع جاهزيتها من حيث الاستجابة للطوارئ في حالات اللي يتم ندائها. بالنسبة للمخزون الاستراتيجي لجمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي فإحنا على أتم الاستعداد للاستجابة في حال النداء من قبل مؤسسات حكومة دولة الكويت.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our interview with Mr. Jassim Qabazard, an engineering and businessman. Now, Mr. Qabazard, what indicators should the governments monitor to measure societal readiness and resilience during these regional crises?
Already the government has, with all thanks to them and gratitude, have sent out all kinds of important directives to the public. That's a very important initiative, and I believe it's the duty of the government who's protecting its people to provide the people of Kuwait, even in the region we're talking generally, of what is to be done in terms of what's happening, ongoing events during this war. And I believe these directives which are given to the people and the people reaction is very positive. It's very indicative of responding with gratitude and being very strict about it. I can give examples that when we sit among ourselves in our diwaniyas, whatever is open or closed, or by social media, we are reassuring each other to stick to these directives. And this is very particular about Kuwait and Kuwaitis, where the diwaniyas web of communication becomes very active and very useful at these times where personal communication by car or by visiting and so forth becomes limited.
Correct.
Due to the environment, which is basically a bit dangerous.
It's sort of strengthening the societal fabric.
This fabric, which is strengthened, continues to even become more strong, and we become more serious in discussing matters between each other. And one of the good things, which actually very important, as the government has stipulated, is to avoid talking about political matters which has to do decision makers of the country, leaders of the country. Keep their decisions aside, don't get involved in it, and there are, reprimandation. If somebody does something wrong, the law comes in and stops you from doing it. That shows the severity and the importance of these directives. And it's up to us to abide by it. And I believe from the communication which is going amongst us, everybody is respecting this. First of all, to admire our leadership's directives. We have seen His Highness the Crown Prince visiting the different government agencies personally to see if everything is okay, everything is fine. And when us watch on Kuwait television these actions, we feel more comfortable, we feel more secure, we feel more close to the leaderships and to the leadership of Kuwait and to the people who make decision makers, that they are making sure that the requirements of the people are met and are safe and are available for an extended period of time.
So as we watch them fulfilling their duty and responsibility to safeguard the nation,
yes,
do you believe that in return people are seeing this and they feel a sense of responsibility and duty as well?
Yes.
To listen to directives, to encourage people that
yes,
things will be fine, we are safe.
Yes. One, you see, because of our democracy, we're used to talk a lot. We are used to express. And sometimes when there is no leadership, when there is no directives, people make up their own stories, make up their own excuses, make up their own conclusions. And that's very dangerous at times like these. So people should hush with all due respect and listen to what the leadership is saying, because these are matters that deal with the whole nation, has to be the security of the whole nation, maintaining peace and quiet and tranquility and solidarity of the people. So it is our duty to stop talking unnecessarily, and especially on the social media, and make the social media a positive tool to strengthen the resolve of the Kuwaitis, men and women, and to stick to their values and not go side to side and get affected.
Not to sway.
Not to sway, thank you, by what we hear, and listen to what the authority is telling us.
And we've noticed that the Ministry of Interior has issued a statement to people not to film, not to take pictures of any shrapnels, missiles, drones, whatever they may be.
Exactly.
There are many dimensions to this. There's first the security dimension of do not allow these videos to circulate, because then the respective forces will see, oh, this target hit here, it was successful. But there's also the dimension of there's the battle on the ground and then the battle of the mind.
Yes.
So would you say that these protocols and safety measures are to instill a sense of solitude and unity?
Exactly. Not only that, what we see in these social media videos turns out to be completely different what it was narrated. The first ones that came out were some towers which were hit and there was some debris on the floor. I was one of the first people who said, yes, I know certain nationalities live in this, and I believed it. And soon after, it turned out to be debris from a construction.
Correct.
People had construction, but someone put it in that context.
And wrote a caption in a
and
certain
everything,
way.
and it made it in a very let's say, nasty way, I could put it this way, and gave a completely wrong impression. And that was a very good example for us, and where people, when the government came and the authorities start talking, no, it's not what you think, and so forth, it was explained. From there on, I believe we realized how dangerous it is for us to just take at face value whatever we see on the social media.
It's very easy to play with the truth nowadays, particularly.
Exactly.
There's, I forget who it is that said this, but the first casualty of war is the truth.
Is the truth, yes.
Now we're witnessing that there is a sort of a information war taking place now.
Yes. You know, one thing that our Prophet Muhammad, may he peace be upon him, and Allah put him in the great paradise. One of his sayings is, war is this deception. Al-harb khid'ah. He said this. And what we see right now is actually exactly that.
True.
So whether the people are doing it, or nations are doing it, or military powers are doing it. So unfortunately, as you said, truth becomes the victim, and wrong things start taking over, and people have to be very aware, and as much as they can, let's say, wise enough to differentiate.
But eventually, the truth will prevail.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Mr. Qabazard, in your view, how does the current regional climate affect the economic confidence and investments across the Gulf?
It has a direct effect, mainly because I like to talk about the Gulf region, including the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We are not really a manufacturing nation. Whatever we manufacture barely supplies the demand, the local demand. Most of the time we import. So we can't consider that as a nation productivity out of which you can depend on.
It's more of a resource than a fully functioning economy.
Exactly.
Like China,
It's a resource. Sometimes it can be even a luxury to say that you are doing some manufacturing. So that's out. We are not an agricultural productive nation because of the nature of our land. We barely have money, food, water for ourselves, let alone for the trees. So that's out. We are not a military nation that can produce military equipment and so forth and export it. So what we have is brain, manpower, and financial might. We can call it financial might.
Correct.
And this limited resource, aside from the oil revenue, I mean, the financial might is coming because of the oil revenue.
Yes. It's only spurred on because we have this resource
Exactly.
to give us that opportunity.
Exactly. And we have been for the past 50 years talking about we must find a substitute or a parallel. The maximum we've been able to do is to invest our income in foreign portfolios and generate, again, on business, which is limited to government work. It's not a public work. It's not for the private sector to do. So very limited. Therefore, this jolt which is happening to us directly affects the most active part of our life, which is investment and commerce, and whatever is related to that, which is very limited. So the impact of closing of Hormuz is directly affecting our oil production, and this will snowball, and it has a knock-on effect on all the other businesses and whatever is related and dependent on this. One of them is the government expenditure. I mean, people are going to get salaries. If this continues, the government will have very little money left to give to its people who are working in the government agents.
We already see that a majority of our budget is used on government salary.
Exactly, exactly. Any development project that we have require funds. such as roads, buildings, and schools, and
Robotic could be
hospitals,
a
and
port.
whatever we did, ports, airports, whatever are the main necessities for the life existence of its people. The stock market is a venue for people to be busy with their money, buying and selling shares. But again, most of the shares are local, and these locals depend on their assets, and their assets depends whatever the government spends money on. And not all of them are, let's say, intelligent enough to use their assets outside of Kuwait and have income from outside sources to come back inside the country. This question really easily can be interpreted that it has a direct effect, and God forbid if continues for a longer period of time, our let's say economical conditions going to go down, and we anticipate downfall of that economy, which affects the lifestyle of people. And hopefully by then we still have water and we still have electricity and our infrastructure is intact, so that at least we can survive with a minimum.
Now, we did see through initiatives such as the Kuwait Vision 2035 that the leadership of the country was aware that we cannot continue on this single resource for our income. What can you speak about on the Kuwait Vision 2035 in terms of its sort of preparation for a changing world?
I believe nowadays the world of technology and the generation which is knowledgeable of this technology, it's not my generation. Okay, I'm classical, going back to the times that what I went through. I can see what's happening, but to be able to adjust to the change which is happening, which is the digital life we are going through, it is this generation has to think as to how they can capitalize on this knowledge. And we have very, very, very smart people in Kuwait, in IT particularly, and we have entrepreneurs, we have a young generation who has been able to come up with inventions, tens and tens of new inventions. And I believe these inventions should be turned into businesses. That's how other people use their inventions. I don't see that happening. All I see is they get a reward for that invention, and after that, I see nothing tangible.
But we do have a very strong entrepreneurial, let's say, culture in the country, and our culture as a whole. Commerce and merchandising and becoming your own business person, let's say. This is a very strong pillar in our society.
But it is not capitalized on. It's not used to the sense that you could feel there's a market, there's a business, and you get either internal generation of business and work other than selling oil, but out of this technology, out of this market, to be able to generate business. This is dependent on the youngsters of today who are aware of this, and the government is helping them.
And this comes back to our point where earlier we were saying that the leadership in the government, they are fulfilling their responsibility and duty. Now it comes down to people. Will they hold their end of this bargain? So what advice do you have for younger people?
Again, these younger people in Kuwait were confined to what the government expenditure is. If the government expenditure directs some of its funds into this venue rather than just construction. We know what construction is. All kinds of things need to, as long as the country is developing and expanding, you have to build homes, roads, electricity, water. These main
infrastructural, civilian
needs are being done. But if there's a market, we also have, let's say, a commercial market, which is the real estate plus the stock market. Then the technology, there should be a technology market to either to strengthen it, to come up with 1, 2, 3 products which Kuwait to sell abroad.
So you're saying there should be concentrated commercial activity or nodes throughout the country to sustain this continuous development and construction?
Yes. Just as there are ways and to encourage construction which has been for the past 70, 60 years of Kuwait is now to generate a market, and the government should support, direct, finance, and appreciate this and help it even, provide some kind of subsidy. But to create this technological world which is now taking over the whole world, that should be part of it and be able to generate some market for the thoughts and whatever the young people can come up with in terms of inventions, entrepreneurship of their projects and so forth, in the IT world, in the technology world. And Kuwait, let's say, would become a nation that could sell this know-how abroad and generate income for those inventors and for the country.
In fact, we are seeing the country sort of focus and put its efforts into cybersecurity, AI development, future technologies.
Yes.
Mr. Qabazard, we did speak on this a little bit, but how do social media, digital platforms, communication networks, how do they shape the public perception and crisis response during times of uncertainty such as this one?
The social media started as a luxury, now it's as a necessity. The government itself depends on social media venues to inform the people of its directives, positive, negative, whatever. So the social media now has become a very important tool. Heads of states in the world are part of the social media.
They have their own accounts, a
they have
direct
their own accounts,
channel.
exactly, and it's open and they communicate. So the world has become very close and very communication easy, friendly passages through this. So naturally, this tool has to be properly used.
Almost like the, I apologize, but the name escapes me. There was a theory that it would become a global village one day in the world.
Exactly.
We will all be connected as if we were one small village.
Exactly. That's the way it is, actually. Right now it is. I mean, your smartphones connects you anywhere in the world at an instant. Anytime, wherever you want to go, you go. It's almost like a dream come true. I remember my days when I was in high school, this was something like a out of space, fictional. We talked about it. I saw how it black and white TV and then became color TV. I was in the States when I saw the first color show, and then slowly all these things start to generate new venues of communication with the phone and with smartphone and whatever. So to see this trend going, now this is our world, and I believe it has direct effect, and we cannot actually live without it, because there's so much happening at one instant, and you know that it's happening, and you have access to it once you have the iPhone, because you've tested it, you've seen it happening. So if you lose your iPhone, you feel detached.
From the whole world, not just your surroundings.
Yes, you feel detached. I mean, I'm sorry to say, when you say at home, the father, I'm one of them, talk to my children by phone. Where are you? I mean, we don't even talk. We just call each other inside the house. The regular phone has become almost inactive, The
landline is no longer
landline is there, you don't care about it. So this has positive and negative. The positive thing is that you are in connection, you're not alone. And the negative part is that the humanitarian part of it gets affected, where people stay away from each other, and
a social isolation.
Social isolation. And this is dangerous.
Now, Mr. Qabazard, as you mentioned, in your experience, you've seen the world change from black and white television to the AI videos and technology we have today. What is a commonality that you see persisting throughout this change in history?
Bringing people together, bringing people closer, making life easy for you to know what's going on. Now, depends how a person deals with this tool. I always give an example. A car, if you drive it, you can drive safely, save lives, take someone to a hospital, or you hit someone. Okay? It's you are the driver. It's nothing fault with the car.
It is only a tool. Depends
it's
how you
use it. And I remember in America, every now and then when there is elections, and I was there at the time, and the gun sellers wanted to support manufacturing of guns and selling of guns, because there's going to be some legislation to stop people at certain age, at certain background, to be able to easily purchase a gun. So the gun manufacturers came up with a very nasty and smart
a loophole, sort of? A loophole through the system?
No, 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 no. They were advocating to buy a gun. But how? It said the gun doesn't kill people.
People kill people.
People kill people. So in other words, it's the man or the person who uses the gun that kills. The gun by itself doesn't kill you. Well, it's a very twisted way of...
There is a philosophical argument.
There's a philosophical argument.
Yes.
So this smartphone, as we can see now, it has sometimes been used as a tool for spying, as a tool for intercepting information which is good or bad. It's a tool to get involved in your personal life without you knowing. So the secrecy is beginning of your privacy is being lost. So it has so many good and bad aspects of it. But still, it's the only means of communication which you can do work while you're in a car. You can do, not driving, you have
Hopefully
to be stopped.
Yes.
You can do it at home, you can do it in an office, it can be an airplane. Some airplanes will provide you with communication. So that is the, let's say, the positive part of it. And people should remember and be careful on how to use this dangerous tool.
And Mr. Qabazard, let's just hold on to our interview on this point right now.
Yes.
We'd like to turn right now to one of our live correspondents out there on the field. It is Mr. Mohammed Al-Awadi. Hello, Mohammed, can you hear us? And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll return to our interview with Mr. Jassim Qabazard, an engineering consultant and businessman. As our live correspondent just said, we have a robust infrastructure and many plans in place. From a planning standpoint, how prepared are the urban systems in GCC countries? We know we have primary lines of electricity, water, supplementary, emergency, and backup. What do you have to say about these?
I don't think I can add to what people already know, which our viewers know. We are a small area, and during the year there's a continuous communication by sea, by land, by air, people coming and going, and we can all share the growth and the prosperity, alhamdulillah, in the region. But one thing is missing, very important. We never thought our countries would be facing such a aggressive action from an enemy. So we find that we have no shelters. I know in some of the projects here in Kuwait, some of them which I designed, provided shelters. But I'm not sure if all projects provide shelters. The ones which I was involved in had to do with buildings in the Kuwait airport, Kuwait International Airport, which naturally they are aware of certain dangers, and they do want to provide shelter for the staff, for the visitors, and for travelers, whatever. But in the city generally, even now we realize in the United Arab Emirates, which has come on the social media, that all of a sudden people who own a hotel had to rush down in the basement.
Yes.
And bring with them the whatever they need
the
to sleep on.
essentials that they have.
Okay, it's sad. It's sad to say that there was no plan of action prepared for them. We see occasionally some signs where it says gathering center, نقطة تجمع.
But this is not a shelter.
It's not a shelter. That's what I'm coming at.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something which even sometimes you don't know what's it for. But it's in a way avoiding, maybe avoiding being hurt by falling parts from a building or something. So you go in an area which is safer for that. That's the best way. But nobody explained, put a leaflet, passed it in the building for all the visitors and employees and workers to know what to do and when do they go to the shelter. The only thing we see, for instance, in elevators where they say, if there is a fire, don't use the elevator. Okay? But shelters is a different matter. And it doesn't have to be shelter for war. It could be other, God forbid, catastrophes that have, and people have to go in a safe place where they could live and be away from harm's way. This, the only thing that I can really single out. In our region, we don't have that. Really, as a policy, as a directive, as a location that you could, point to. You go automatically. You've seen it somewhere, so when something happens, you know where to go. Just like the exit sign that we have in airplanes and in the buildings, especially commercial buildings, where they put exit signs to allow for people to find their way out in case there's a fire, in case there's some emergency, or anything like that.
Now, in terms of preparedness among the Gulf states, would you say that due to the brutal Iraqi invasion that we suffered back in the 90s, that this gave us a chance to plan for these kind of situations, that we are maybe more prepared than other places in the Gulf?
Yes, I believe that should have been a signal, a very strong signal, to allow for this to happen. One thing that the authorities or the government and the, let's say, the leadership wanted is for the people not to hold a grudge against the neighbors because of the plight we went through. Well, that's a good gesture, because we are neighbors at the end. We are Arab nations at the end. We are Muslims at the end. We have common cultures and so forth and so on. So prolonged enmity between the two nations is not a good policy.
Not in the long term.
Right? Not in the long term. All right. So that's one thing which I think has a good side of it, and you sort of to be able to live at peace with your neighbors. Mm. The other issue is actually defense. I mean, we have the National Guard, we have the Difa al-Madani, which is civil defense. These two entities, they must think for us. People are busy with their own lives. We don't think of disasters. We don't think of nightmare scenarios. We don't think of negative scenarios. We don't like to think, even though we do this on an individual basis. It's the duty of the government, duty of the responsible people to think ahead and plan ahead for us people for such emergencies. So one of them is the shelter. I can see it provided in the project. Seems to be like a luxury, not as something as a must.
Well, we do see that there are several schools throughout the governance of Kuwait that are designated as shelters.
Yeah, but shelter.
You're speaking of a bomb shelter, let's say.
Whatever. There are categories of shelters.
Yes.
All right. You can decide to what level of shelter you want. All right. Depending on what is the probability and the nature of the danger which the public is going to be facing, you provided for that the type of shelter, and you identify it, and you teach them, and you actually have some training, as we call it, drill. You teach the students in cases of emergency how to go to the shelter.
Correct. That was my next question. Would you recommend that we have these drills in our school curriculums?
Of course.
And in all government institutions?
All buildings. We do occasionally, we have in my building office, they do turn on the fire to make sure it's working. Mm-hmm. Okay? But nothing says this is a drill. They don't say it, they just turn it on. Mm-hmm. So you don't know if it's real and it's not real. And this itself is a drawback. It's not correct.
You're worried that people will fall into complacency and not take the actual warning seriously.
Yes. GCC in our Arabic. So you have to plan for it, and this is the authorities' duty. It's their duty to protect us for things which we are not aware of. Either some of them are educated enough, but they may be a few, but what can you do? Mm-hmm. Can you go to a first government agency to see, why don't you provide shelters for us? None of this is happening.
Well, you could argue that this is the dynamic and the role between the leadership and the citizens, that there must be this communication and this feedback between the two to reinforce any holes that we may have.
Exactly. We have to read the international traffic of news. Mm-hmm. and hear what people who have, let's say, war intentions, expansion intentions, what the possibility of them coming near us, that you have to plan for that. Even you have time, there is no need to hurry. It is always difficult at a time of an emergency to plan escape route. You always do that at a time of peace and tranquility. When there is nothing pressure, then you think of possibility of something wrong happening. You can have the time, you can have plans to allow for it and do something for the people calmly and properly and prepare them with time so that they're not panicked at the time when it's happened.
So it's almost as if you're saying it's better to be a warrior and a gardener than a gardener in a battlefield.
Exactly, of course.
Preparation is
of course, of course.
Now
I remember this very clearly when I was studying in the United States. It was 1967. It was the 1967 war that happened between Israel and Jordan and Palestine, and they moved into Sinai, the 6-day war. We were there. We were very much affected. We were scared. We were shocked. And we were all wondering why it happened so quickly, so swiftly, where Egypt had the biggest army, and it was very well armed by missiles, by airplanes, by
tanks,
whatever you needed, tanks and so forth, so on. When we listened to the TV programs at night, they brought some generals from the United States and from some other countries, and they discussed why did this happen. Why were the Arabs taken by surprise? That was the main cause of panic, was the shock of doing something very quickly, unexpected. You're not prepared for it, actually. You're talking, advocating war, but you're not prepared for the sudden event. So this general said, and I remember this until today, said, in time of peace, you think of war. You plan for war.
Yes.
Because you have the time, you have the luxury of giving
safety
yourself
and
options. There is no panic. You are not under pressure. You don't know this. So you plan what may happen. All right? You can do this in everyday life.
Plan for the worst, but hope for the best.
Hope for the best. You can do it at home every day, in your office, at your home, with your family, with your lifestyle. So these are wise events which people who are in connection with the world, now let's say the smartphone, you should think when you are at luxury, if something goes wrong, what will you do? We went through a panic station some time ago, and people rushed to the market and drained everything.
Which puts more strain on the society's ability to provide.
Now, the government start from the very beginning, telling the people, calm down.
Do not panic.
Do not panic. And now if you go shopping, there's no one shopping. Everybody's staying at home, everybody's comfortable, they see everything is available. If you compare it to exactly 2 or 3 days ago and what happened in the supermarkets at the Emirates, may God be with them, they were panicking inside these supermarkets because they were not prepared for it. Maybe they had enough, but nobody told them, calm down, so forth and so on. So we learned from previous experiences, and now God, alhamdulillah, as we can see, all the ministers involved in these particular venues are showing through videos and through presence, and the Prime Minister, may Allah protect him, he's also personally making sure that the vital sources of food and food security are being provided, and for the safety of the people, and let the people feel calm and tranquil about this.
Now this point of calm, it's sort of like saying that everyone has their role, no matter how big or small the role is. Would you say that the citizen and resident's role is to listen to the leadership, cooperate with the leadership, and not to panic? Panic will ensue more chaos, and that is not something we need
Exactly.
right now.
People in panic, no matter what they are, you cannot control their behavior. Every human being has his own psychological structure, and everyone reacts to panic in a completely different way. But when a government authority, let's say, can foresee something to happen, so it starts preparing the people to avoid going into a panic station.
Now, in light of this, what role does community awareness and, let's say, public education play in strengthening national preparedness and duty during security or geopolitical challenges? I know we've touched on that throughout the interview,
Yes,
but if you could elaborate some more.
The word which His Highness the Emir has said, it is national unity. National unity, I believe, is a sacred word. We have to really, really listen to it and abide by it. There has to be self-discipline before you guide or talk to someone else. First, have a self-discipline that you stop yourself from thinking outside the box of national unity. Whatever information you're passing, what effect does it have? What does it tell about yourself? Are you like volunteering, telling what kind of person you are? So you are actually exposing your private thoughts.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't want to, but by mistake you do it. And this way it can generate feedback, and it can, progress on a larger scale and have a large wave effect. So self-discipline is important. And by now we have heard enough, and every day we hear it, every day, every night. And His Highness the Emir is telling us, stick to the national unity. I am one of the supporters of national unity, meaning that I don't accept people who digress from the right path.
The cause.
And the cause and the target of achieving national unity. So we know what it means in Kuwait. We've been through enough problems before where we really realized that national unity kept us together.
Yeah, it's the sacred fabric, the
It's
sacred
fabric.
tie.
I can bring a live example, is that when I was in Kuwait and the invasion happened in 1990, then I had to leave Kuwait, and through Saudi Arabia, I managed to go to the United Kingdom. And from there, I realized that all the Kuwaitis are in touch with each other. Why? Because we had the Diwaniyas.
Yes.
So in every locality, if there were 2 people or 5 people, they created the Diwaniyah.
They created a Kuwait outside
A
of
Kuwait outside of Kuwait, and we were in communication with each other. And we were all strengthening each other's resolve against this.
And the morale.
And the morale, and telling nobody wants to cooperate with the enemy. And we also passed around information. Watch out. This is what's going in the market. This is a lie. Tell them about this. And the Kuwait unity maintained a solidarity in every part of the world. If they talk to any Kuwaiti, that Kuwaiti would say the same thing that the guy in Australia was saying, the same guy in United Emirates would say, and it was a fantastic feeling. And this itself proved to the world that we are, as Kuwaitis, really one body.
Would you argue that we sort of subconsciously or without thinking have this social safety net embedded in ourselves, our culture and our upbringing?
With time, with repetition, it has become part of our awareness.
Our DNA.
I don't know about DNA, but it is part of our awareness. We realize the value of this, and it's getting stronger and stronger. And what strengthened this is the ruling family, the Al-Sabah family. They visit people in their homes, they visit people when they're in hospital, they people in their, they go to the cemetery, all the happy in mosques and everything, and diwaniyas. So that interwoven network of communication, takes away the protocol of formality, and you become more human. You become more interactive as humans. And this is their strength, and we feel it, and we have to strengthen it and tell our younger generation to do the same. And we involve them with our activities. And you can always see when there is a beginning of Ramadan, first day of Ramadan, His Highness the Emir greets all the people of Kuwait, all kinds of them, men and women. And when people see this, they don't understand that how easily.
It's a bizarre thing to most of the world.
How easily you just walk, say hello to your president, and he's smiling at you, and the rest of the family, all ministers and dignitaries, in a very social, nice way. This pattern itself says a lot.
Even in His Highness the Emir's address to the nation just a few days ago, he called himself the father
Yes.
of the nation.
Yes.
We don't really see a lot of this sort of familial bond
Yes.
between a ruler and a people.
Yes.
And it comes back to this point where we kept repeating that it is very unique to Kuwait,
Yes.
even amongst the GCC nations.
Yes.
But Mr. Qabazard, let's move on to the economic aspect
Yes.
of this crisis. How could continued regional tension influence, let's say, supply lines, logistics, infrastructural projects, not just in Kuwait, but across the whole Gulf?
We are part of the international community. We have no choice. We have been. And as merchants, if you go back
Hundreds.
purely before the days of oil, the merchants of the Gulf, pioneered by the Kuwaiti merchants. I don't want to brag about it, that was a fact. Geographically, we were in a very important location near Iraq and the corner of Saudi Arabia, and traffic coming from the east going to the west was passing through Kuwait. Many people, remember, they used to pass to Kuwait to rest and continue their trips. And Al Safat area was actually like a gathering point, as a hub for merchants to meet and exchange themselves with the commodities, with whatever they need. Al Safat was the hub for traffic to pass through and stop by. So this connection with the international, we had to create it because we had to. There's no other way. You had funds, you could communicate with the world, you had free access, you had no taxes holding you back, there were no laws of trade which were outside the international world and framework. And the Kuwaitis were always known to be entrepreneurs and very, let's say, adventurous in their business. Not adventurous to the point that they'd risk their lives. They're smart.
There was a curiosity to
the
reach out.
curiosity to expand. And you can always see that when they went into the sea, they used certain seasons to avoid bad weather and risk their lives. So they could only choose a window of seasons to travel, go and come back before the weather turns against them. So they were merchants going very far, very difficult routes, in very difficult conditions, in small wooden dhow compared to the waves and to the weights available. And some of them actually went by the wind, who were captains of dhows that had no motors. They depended on the sail.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the degree of trust and knowledge they had to believe that they don't see in front of them, but they are going the right track just on the compass.
It's a different kind of faith.
It's a different kind. It's very easy to say.
Yeah.
I've been in the sea, and when you lose the compass, you go totally mad. You don't know what to do because the horizon all around you looks the same.
True.
So these merchants, you can imagine, they risked their life, they risked the business, they were moving goods from people and they were in debt. Some of them had to make money. So there's a lot of pressure on them, yet these type of people build the country. They are the forefathers of the builders of Kuwait. They were tough, but they had very clear vision as to what they want to do and how they wanted to achieve it. This kind of a nature of a nation provided the incentive to be able to communicate with the world without fear. And the world was interested to expand. You know, colonialism was part of it. Al-Istimar was part of it. So both parties sort of worked together with the international community, and we became part of it. That's why now Kuwait is part of the global economical problem.
That's why the Strait of Hormuz being closed.
Exactly.
Is such
because
a
it's our business, it's our money, it's our interest, and we dealt in a very nice commercial way with the people who needed it. We did not misuse, would not take advantage of the people's need to us. So you sort of have an equilibrium between these two parties, the buyer and the seller.
There's fair and honorable trade.
Exactly. And they respect the Arab nation because of Islam, because of our culture, because of our nature, because of our heavy wealth of fair dealing, honest dealing with each other. And that's why dealing with the Arab nations has always been a very easy passage, a very easy way to deal with us. And we have made life easy for the international community to benefit from what we have, and we benefit from what they have. Naturally, this strong web of communication gets affected by any dislodging, by any disruption from both sides. We get affected, and the international community gets affected.
Now, Mr. Qabazard, let's just hold on to that point. We'll continue our interview, but we'll just take a moment to take a look at this report where the Kuwait National Cybersecurity Center stated that it is conducting continuous, around-the-clock monitoring to detect any and all potential cyber attack indicators, noting that it is currently fully verifying and inspecting the relevant systems. The center emphasized in a press statement that any cyber vulnerabilities or incidents, if found, will be announced transparently and in accordance with the approved procedures. It also reaffirmed earlier statements by the Public Authority for Civil Information regarding the false reports about the Kuwait mobile ID application being subjected to a cyber attack. The center urged everyone to rely on official sources for information and avoid spreading rumors that could cause concern among its users. Now, Mr. Qabazard, let's continue with our talk. In times of uncertainty, what are the most common social reactions within societies, and how can governments mitigate the panic or misinformation? We spoke about their efforts to tell people to take their information from official news sources,
yes,
and to maintain this social solidarity and unity.
Yes.
But what else can you tell us?
Honestly, nothing more. I think we can't, let's say, create something which is more than what we have tried so far. Because we are limited, really. Our lifestyle is limited to the depending on oil and our business, depending on social communication. It's keeping our habits live and healthy, and welcoming, dealing with international nationalities to come and work here in Kuwait. We know that we are, for almost 4.5, 4.6 million Kuwaitis. Majority are non-Kuwaitis.
Yes.
That shows how attractive Kuwait is for them to come here and work here, and how attractive it is for them to come here and find work to do. Because you don't come to Kuwait if you don't want to work, because you come with a visa.
Working visa.
With a visa. So that itself is a blessing, Allah's blessing on us. And we have to maintain this and appreciate this and respect those international expatriates that are here, respect them for whatever they are. Each one has a family back home. Each person here has 5 or 6 people back home. He's left them alone and come here to work and be away from their family. He can only go back and see them very limited times per year.
Correct.
These are major, let's say, sacrifices they're making in their lifestyle, especially who have come from limited income areas of the world. And they come here, they are like really very special people to be able to leave their family and come here and work and make money and send back. And Kuwait is facilitating for them the ease of money transfer.
Correct.
And this is very important. If you look around us, how difficult it is for any person to transfer money across the border or to bring money across the border.
Kuwait does its best to facilitate this movement.
Exactly. Facilitate this, and at the cheapest level, at the lowest cost, The tariffs are very minimal. It's easy, the banks are open. Well, now, because of some mismanagement by money laundering and so forth, the rules are becoming more strict, but it's coming globally, not only us.
Sure, this is a natural reaction.
It's a natural reaction.
Mr. Qabazard, fortunately, we have to pause our discussion for now, but we'll resume after this short break, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, Mr. Jassim Qabazard, this is all the time we have for our segment with you.
Unfortunately, I'd like to stay longer.
I would have loved to continue our conversation,
Thank you,
sir.
thank you.
But before we let you go,
Yes.
is there any final words, there's some advice, something you'd like to say to the viewers at home watching?
Yes, wholeheartedly. Sustain the national unity of this country. No matter what you hear, no matter what you say, try to be a wise person. First, to start with yourself, self-discipline, and make sure that you maintain the good relationship Kuwait among itself and among the people around you, no matter what party they come from, which background they come from. We all here are in a very limited area, and Allah is helping us with His mercy, with His graciousness, and we should benefit from that. And we have a fantastic leadership, may Allah keep him, and government, and we should listen to them, especially in this difficult time. So national unity is priority.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jassim Qabazard, for coming here and giving us your time and your expertise in this crisis.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with the ease of publishing and sharing content online, the digital environment has become fertile ground for the spread of unreliable news. Information can circulate within seconds, often without any verification of its source or accuracy. This accelerates the amplification of events and fuels fear and uncertainty, particularly during times of crises and emergency, creating a confusing and misleading landscape for public opinion. Kuwait's official spokesperson from several relevant authorities have warned that the danger of rumors lies not only in their content, but also in their speed of spread and their broader impact. This report brings us more.